Hey guys, winter is here and we are feeling it, we're seeing it, and it is hard to get out of bed. So I hear people talk about motivation and I thought I'd put together a little video around motivation. So essentially the way I look at motivation, it is used to get you started, but it's not what keeps you going. It tends to come and go and you really need to figure out how else to keep going when you feel like giving up. So it turns out when you start, where you start, like your journey, doesn't matter how good you are, how bad you are, it really doesn't matter in terms of motivation. It's more important that you think about where you're willing to go. So one of the main differences that we've noticed between people who succeed and those that don't is the language they use. So the use of the word yet is really important. This helps you kind of change your thought pattern around what you're trying to achieve so that you don't just write yourself off. So something like, I'm not strong enough yet. I don't know how to do this yet. I can't handle this yet. It leaves that little door of possibility open and it leaves you kind of thinking towards the future as well. So like everyone else who's tried losing weight, the people who lost weight actually struggle, you know, they had plenty of setbacks, they'd suffered and they'd had bad days, but the real difference between these people is their ability to endure, right? So when you can endure something, when you can get through the difficult, the arduous stuff, you're gonna find that you're gonna be so much more successful in the long term. So it wasn't motivation that got them through it, it was building that sort of resiliency in themselves to make sure that they're able to move forward towards their goals. You may get motivation, it may come back, you might be wanting to do more every now and then, but really understanding where you want to head is important. So what I've done is I've put together 7 ways to keep you motivated and make sure you can put these in place so that you can move forward in your health and fitness journey. All right, so doing the right thing, it isn't limited to elite athletes, like waking up and coming to training. Imagine being a new parent. I'm sure many of you who are watching have been getting out of bed 3 a.m. to soothe like screaming babies, etc. for the number of like consecutive nights in a row. And I'm sure you aren't excited about it, but you know it's the right thing to do, so you go ahead and do it. Similar to the 5 a.m. boot campers, you know, they're in the gym, they're making it work, and it's not that they hate warm blankets, and I'm sure they love their sleep. It's just that they know their greater goal is more important than sleeping in on it and staying warm and comfortable. So number 1, what I have here is have a deep reason. A deeper reason is the fail-safe that really keeps you on track. They say, I think it was Viktor Frankl talked about, if you can see a brighter future, almost nothing can stop you from getting through it. And he was in like the concentration camps, and that's absolutely wild stuff. So if you're able to think of yourself in far greater position in the future, you could weather any storm. Number 2, find meaning in being uncomfortable. So basically what that means is, in order to keep working towards something big, you need to realize that there's purpose in it, as we just talked about, but you also need to be able to endure. So talking to yourself in a way that makes you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, knowing that's part of the hero's challenge, hero's journey, and constantly moving towards your goal. Number 3, you want to prioritize systems over willpower. So in order to keep working towards something big, systems help us prioritize what to do and when to do it. So for me, planning my week, making sure that I know when I'm going to exercise, I know what food I'm going to eat, and simply following the same system week after week, it means that my feelings don't override the behaviors, because I just have to follow these set procedures to get the outcome that I want. Number 4, you need to separate your feelings from your identity. So we often assume that our feelings should drive our behavior. It is not true, you know, like you can quickly change your state, and that's something we'll talk about in a second, and redirect your thought pattern to make sure that you are moving in the right direction. Just because you had a shitty day doesn't mean you need to have a shitty life. Just because you ate some shitty food doesn't mean you need to continue eating shitty. And it's really making sure that your greater goal, you're trying to align your identity with that. And it's okay if you fall off, but you need to get back on track. You need to reach out. You need to make sure you're putting those steps, those systems in place to move towards your goals. Number 5 is use behavior to change negative feelings. As I said, change your state. With Tony Robbins, we went to his conference, and one of the biggest things was getting us up, jumping, touching each other, making sure that that sounds terrible, but like rubbing people in the shoulders and making sure that, you know, you just felt comfortable, you felt relaxed, but you also hyped up so that you can remember stuff, because when you move, your body kind of responds in a way that it gives you the right chemicals so that you want to like take the environment in, and you're engaged and interactive. So that's one way of doing it. I was reading about special forces, and one of the phrases they like to use was like quit tomorrow. So if tomorrow never comes, right? So by being able to say, oh, I'll quit this tomorrow, it just means that you're constantly putting off those negative thoughts and associations around it, and then you can continue to move forward, because once you get through the hard shit, you're going to realize the next day maybe it wasn't as bad as you thought, but it was just how you felt in that point of time. So don't let your choices really end up shaping you. Watch out what you do with your choices, because otherwise, if you're constantly choosing like to give up, to not push through and not endure, it's going to continue to flow on throughout your life. Number 6, use low moments to your advantage. So when we experience something that disrupts our equilibrium, such as a tough workout or a bad day at work, a subconscious part of our brain rapidly assesses 2 things. Do I know what's happening? Do I have what it takes to cope with it? Our perception of both are derived from past experiences. So, can you think back in a point of time when times were tough? I'm sure you can. We've all been through shit, and I'm sure that you realize that you got through it, and those lessons and those things have made you stronger and better. So no matter how many bad things you went through in the past, you're still alive today, you got over them, and you're going to be able to continue to do that. Number 7, view life as a series of learnable skills and practice them. The amount of times you're going to fall off track on your health and fitness journey is for a never-ending cycle. You know, you might be going up, you might trip down and back up, you might even go further down, but you can always come back up. So realizing this and making sure that you're aware of your patterns and you learn from the past mistakes, you will be able to course correct so much quicker. All right. So motivation, we're talking about it. If anything, it's just an outcome, right? You can't control motivation. It can't be directly pursued. What you can control is a series of factors that underpin the motivation. Just knowing this can really help you stop waiting for that green light. Like the amount of people like, oh, I just need motivation to get started. No, you need to get started to discover the motivation. Realizing that even if it's hard, taking actions get you closer to your goals. And I can tell you now, being further away from your goals makes your life more miserable than taking those little steps towards your goals consistently, because that progress is where you're going to find the motivation. You need to understand that doing the right thing in the moment is totally within your control. You need to separate yourself from your feelings, and you need to make sure that you're actioning the plan that you have in place to move forward. If you're not too sure about your plan, if you need more help creating a plan, please reach out. That is what we're here for. Do not feel guilty if we haven't seen you. We'd love to help. We want to make sure that this is one of your best winters ever, because on the other side of this is spring and summer, and we want you to enjoy it to the max and not worry about your weight and be fit and healthy. If you need anything else, guys, reach out. But otherwise, have a fantastic day, and remember, you become what you think. So